Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois. She served as a combat pilot in Iraq and serves on the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senator, thank you so much for being with us. I do want to ask you about Hegseth specifically, because if he is confirmed as the Secretary of Defense, what would be in place potentially to stop him from moving forward with this idea that women should be removed from combat roles?
Well, I mean, it's actually a congressional action that basically opened combat roles to women. But let's be real, in modern warfare, there is no forward line of troops like you'd had, where you could keep women, okay, you stay back here and then you won't be in combat. Truck driver is a job that women have been doing since World War I, where some of the most often hit people in Iraq by being hit with IEDs. So this idea that you can exclude women from combat is really one that shows his lack of experience and really, him being unqualified to be the Secretary of Defense, because it's not where modern warfare is.
I also wonder about your view of the qualifications of another nominee that Trump has put forward. And you sit on the Foreign Relations Committee, which has jurisdiction over diplomatic appointments, including ambassadors. What do you think of Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee being selected for ambassador to Israel? What do you plan to ask him at his confirmation hearing?
Well, I am somewhat concerned. I do think that Mike Huckabee is someone that when we bring him before the committee, we should ask him some very important questions. He has been, is making statements that seems to back up Netanyahu and the work. And, frankly, I think that Prime Minister Netanyahu has committed some war crimes to some of the actions that he's taken in Gaza. Now, let me tell you that I truly, fully support Israel's right to defend herself, and I will continue to vote to provide weapons of self-defense weapons to Israel. But we have to have a real accounting of the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. And I just don't think Mike Huckabee is going to be someone who is going to hold Netanyahu to account. And that's a pretty scary thought.
Another nominee Trump has put forward is that of former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence. Now, you told my colleague Caitlin Collins yesterday that you don't think she has the qualifications to fulfill that role. Do you think there's sufficient evidence to back the accusations that she's a Russian asset who's been spreading Russian propaganda?
Well, the people that get nominated for these roles should be above any dispute. I mean, the fact that we're having to have this conversation is an indication that it's problematic, right? I think she's compromised. Not only is she not qualified for the job, never having done anything in terms of national intelligence, but she's also likely compromised, whether it is her cozying up and acting as an apologist for Syrian dictators, or her very close relationship with Vladimir Putin, or her continuing to espouse and support conspiracy theories. She is somebody who has been compromised, and I don't think that's the kind of person that should be, in charge of all of our nation's secrets.
When it comes to Gabbard and Hegseth and even Matt Gaetz, which we haven't talked about, it seems like some of these nominees will face an uphill battle getting confirmed. And some Republicans are arguing that the newly elected president should have his choice of who serves in his cabinet. I want to play you some sound from Congressman Thomas Massie, who is sending a message to senators who may oppose these picks. Let's listen.
He'll get confirmed by the Senate.
That was a question about Matt Gaetz. He's essentially saying that he's going to get appointed during a recess, and he's telling folks who may oppose it to suck it up. What's your response?
Well, Donald Trump is trying to change the process here in the Senate so that he can have those recess appointments, but we don't go into recess in the Senate. And frankly, where were these people when they were opposing President Biden's nominations? They think it's okay to oppose the nominations from other presidents, and yet when it comes to Donald Trump, they roll over for him. This is the problem with the Republicans in the Senate, is they're going to roll over for Donald Trump and he'll do whatever he wants. They will stab each other in the back. If you don't believe me, ask James Langford what happened to his border security bill that he negotiated over almost a half a year and then had an agreement, and then Donald Trump stabbed him in the back, and within 24 hours, Republicans rolled over. This is what they do, and it's really sad because they should be putting the well-being and the security of the nation in front of Donald Trump's whims. And unfortunately, I don't believe that they will do that.
Senator, have Democrats outlined any kind of plan to fight recess appointments if Republicans choose to go that route?
Well, Republicans need to remember that if they do that, then it becomes the standard practice, and I don't think we should. These are the same Republicans who refuse to lift the filibuster, for example, to pass key pieces of legislation like the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. What I say to my Republican colleagues is show some backbone, be a senator, and let's vet these candidates for their experience and whether or not they're suitable for the position and whether or not they've been compromised. And let's truly put people into these positions who are going to do good for the nation. Putting somebody like Tulsi Gabbard, who's not qualified and likely compromised, is not the answer.
Senator, I know that you were a Harris campaign co-chair, and Democrats on their Hill are meeting this week trying to regroup after the election loss last week. What are you hearing in conversations about what you and your fellow lawmakers are taking as a message from voters, given what we saw last week?
You know, we're actually having a lot of conversations, especially with our new members. We have a group of new members who are majority minority, for everybody from Ruben Gallego to our additional other new members that are coming in, and to Andy Kim. We have a great new class of freshmen. We've been listening to them to hear what they did and how they won their seats, and then also to some of the members returning from battleground states like Nevada. So we're still going through that process, and we're going to make sure that we connect with our constituencies and continue to do the best we can for our, constituents and our states.
Senator Tammy Duckworth, we have to leave the conversation there. Appreciate your time.